everybody, it's Karen with Food and Family. Today I have a very special guest with me, my son Chris, and he's making gumbo. So he's going to run the show today and I'll be his sous chef. So I hope you enjoy and let's get started, okay? All right.
All right, when we get started, we're going to chop a whole onion and a whole bell pepper. Just a whole green, red bell pepper, whatever you like. We're just going to cut it, take the core out of it, get the seeds out. We got a little bowl for the trash.
I can do anything you tell me.
We'll let you wash them up after we get them
I'll do
sliced.
that. I can help you rip out the insides.
Rip out the inside.
There we go. Get out all those seeds.
Yep, seeds are not good eats.
Yeah. There we go.
And when we wash it, it'll knock the rest of them off.
Oh, yeah. So I'm the sous chef today. We are celebrating Mardi Gras. So we're going to do gumbo. We are going to do some homemade French bread. And I'm going to make a Mardi Gras king cake, earthquake cakes. Not your traditional king cake, but it's still going to be good. So,
Can't have Mardi Gras without gumbo.
that's right.
And yes, it's French bread because Creole
It's
got a lot of French in it.
That's right.
It's got a little bit of everything in it. Nobody's left out.
Oh, and it's so good. So good. It is a long process, but it is worth every single minute.
Especially these cold winter days.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, I'll rinse this off for you.
And then we'll go ahead and start getting this onion cleaned up.
We'll get our vegetables chopped first, and then we're going to move over to the stove and we'll start cooking. So we just wanted you to see how he chops his vegetables, and it's all a part of it.
I like it chopped up pretty small. You can chop it up however you want, big as you want.
A medium dice.
A medium dice. You ain't got to mince it. You want to know what's in there. It's going to cook for a long time.
Yeah, if you mince it too fine, it's going to cook away.
You'll end up with nothing but a bowl of soup that you can't identify.
Yeah, we want to know what we're eating, be able to see what we're eating. And we've got green bell peppers today, but I guess you could use red or yellow if you wanted them, orange.
You use whatever color makes it colorful.
They seem to be a little sweeter than a green bell pepper.
They are. And you can always get fancy if you're going to add a little extra heat to it. You can even chop up a jalapeno and throw it in there, but you got to know who's in company and who's going to be eating. You don't want to blow anybody's taste buds away by having
blow their head off by being too warm.
Now, if it was up to me, I'd have all kind of peppers in it, but
and I don't do the hot as well.
This is a meal for several people, so you want to kind of meet in the middle. And
now with leftovers, could you freeze them if you don't want to eat them in the next day or two?
You can freeze it. Usually I'm making it, there's two of us. I'll freeze about half of it. We eat it one night. It even goes to work with me for lunch for a day.
Oh, okay.
It heats up really easy.
Okay, so it's a good leftover.
It's actually better leftover. It's like some things after it sits and mellows for a while. And
get all those spices marinated together in
it
there.
all marinates together. And
yeah.
next thing you know, it's almost better. You want to eat it the second day instead of the day you cook it.
Yeah.
But after you sit here and you smell it cooking, you can't stand it when it's ready. It's time to go.
But that'd be a good idea if you're thinking you're going to have a get-together tomorrow and you had time today, you could go ahead and make it. Pop it in the fridge and just pull it out and heat it up.
Oh, yeah.
So,
just stay in the fridge for a couple of days at least.
Yeah.
And after that, you want to freeze it.
I like to freeze stuff like that left over so when I'm ready for it again, it's made and I don't have to
And just make sure you don't have any big, huge chunks. I'm not the master chopper, but hey,
Looks like you're doing a good job to me.
we get it like we want it. Get a few extra chops just for the heck of it.
Looks good to me. Now, what are we putting in this? Sausage?
We'll have smoked sausage.
Sausage and,
Whatever kind you like. Today we're going to be using a skinless, and reason being, some smoked sausages the skin tends to, thank you, sous chef. Sausages the skin will get tough after it cooks because this is going to cook for several hours. And
we won't keep you for several hours, but we'll let you know the progress as we go along.
But you can use your favorite smoked sausage. If you want to leave the skin on, you can remove the skin. You can take the skin off, or what we're going to be using is a skinless smoked sausage. You can use a skinless turkey sausage, just whatever your preference.
I was going to say with turkey sausage work really well because I use turkey quite a bit.
A lot of people don't need the beef; they need something on a different diet, or they need turkey or something like that. But you can use andouille sausage. That would be probably a little more traditional gumbo. But that's just a taste preference. We've got our favorites here locally. Some Connecticut sausage. It's hard to find right now, like a lot of things, but
Believe it or not, I found some at Piggly Wiggly yesterday. I've not found it anywhere else. But I like the idea of using the skinless. So many times the skin on the sausage seems to be kind of thick and tough. So I like the idea of the skinless. I've never looked for it before until you told me about it.
yeah, unless you just really know your sausages. There's different casings they use. Some are naturals. Some are human produced with different types of fats that they make into a skin to put a casing. And like I say, some of them can become a little tough. Most of them will become tough. So
Would a natural be better if you can't find the skinless?
natural is better because I guess you want the manufactured Tbs they make, and those are the ones that get the toughest.
Oh, okay.
All right. Get this little bowl.
We got a nice bowl of onions and bell peppers.
We've only got through the peppers and the onions. Are smelling good.
I know it's making me hungry. Anything you start out with onions, it's got to be good.
We'll set those aside. We're gonna do a little bit of garlic. So we've done a whole onion, sweet onion. I like preferably whole bell pepper. You can adjust the garlic like you want. This really usually calls for 8 cloves of garlic. It can be a little overpowering. We'll probably use about, according to how big your cloves are, 5, 6, something like that. So I'm gonna rinse this onion off my hand. I'm gonna let you handle the garlic.
Okay. So you want it minced up?
Let's mince that up pretty fine.
Okay. I've got a nice little mincer that I've got at, what was the name of that store? Lucerne. And,
One of them fancy kitchen supply stores that we
yeah.
stay away from, but I like to go look at.
Yeah, love to look at.
Window shopping.
But this is the best little thing for mincing up your garlic. Okay, so my cloves aren't that huge. Here's some couple of big ones. And so we'll cut off that end. Now I like to smash my garlic a little bit. It takes off the skin.
Yeah, it helps you remove that last little layer of skin. Because that's not going to cook. It's just going to be in there, and you get a piece of big skin on your tongue while you're eating, and you're like, what is that? That's a little funny.
That's not going to be appetizing. See, I'm just smashing it with my knife, and see, it just peels right on off. So it's very, very simple. Now, and it kind of releases all that garlic.
Get that
I
little bit
think
of
that
oil that's in the garlic clove itself.
gets it going and gets it started. I guess if you wanted to, you use like a microplane on the garlic and
You
mince
could.
it like that.
You could even throw it in your favorite little mini chopper, electric chopper, and let it go to town.
That would be a good idea. I don't think you'd want to do your onions and peppers like that, would you? It might chop it too much.
If you've got a really good food processor, you can use it, but you know, that takes some of the fun out of it.
Well, that's true. My favorite tool in the kitchen is my knife. And I love my chef's knife. And let's see, we've got 3, 4. You want to do one more?
Let's do one more. These are pretty decent size. And you want to mix this up pretty small, because the last thing you want is to get a big piece of garlic in a bite, because it can be a little strong.
I don't like that one.
It can actually even be a little hot to the taste if you've got a good.
Oh, but you get that garlic and onions in the pot, get it going in that pan, and it is so good. We eat with our eyes first, and I think our smell second.
I like to chop up all our vegetables first, because to keep just your cleanup down, you got one cutting board. You start with your vegetables, either onion or bell pepper or garlic. You can put celery in this. I think the celery kind of takes away from it. We kind of don't like that much celery, but you can put it in there. You want to do a little green onion at the end, and we'll chop that toward the end just for a garnish.
And see how I'm doing with this tool, and I'm just going and smashing that garlic, and see how it's mincing it, and
Makes
it's
the
all
perfect little
going
minced pieces.
right inside this, whatever you want to call it, garlic smasher. That's what I call it. And if you've got the little green pieces in it, see, it's taking it out for you.
And any extra skin you got left there too.
Mm-hmm. And look, see how quick that was, Rumbo.
Let's put that in a.
You want it in a separate little
Yeah,
bowl?
let's put that in a bowl by itself.
Okay. See, I'm just a sous chef. So we'll scrape that off of here.
That all will get in there.
Does that look like enough to you, or
Yeah, I think that'll be fine.
Okay, so far we've got 1 large onion chopped up. It's like a medium chop, medium
And
dice.
we're gonna cook those down in the roux, which is a very important part here in just a little bit, and those will get really soft.
That is the most important part, I think. And then your bell peppers. He's still got like a medium dice on it. And then the garlic. And of course, like you said, you can use more garlic if you want. It's up to you and your taste. So we're going to get this board cleaned up, wiped down, and we're going to go over to the stove, start making the roux. So hang with us. We'll be back in just a minute, okay? Okay, we're back. And then I made a mistake a minute ago, and I said we were going to go ahead and make the roux. Well, not yet.
Can't rush the roux.
No, that's the best part. So he's going to cut the chicken and the sausage up first, and then we'll go to the roux. But I want him to show you how he cuts it up and what size he cuts it. So here we go.
And this is going to kind of build onto our roux, because as we cook, we're going to cook the sausage first. So that's going to add oil. We're going to add a little bit of oil to the pot, and we'll show you us doing that. But so this is actually got a lot to do with your roux. So we're going to chop our smoked sausage. This is our skinless smoked sausage. You can dice it up. You can slice it up if you want, whatever bite size you prefer. Because once we do this, we're going to cook this. Then we'll add the chicken and cook it in the oil and the grease and the goodies that come from the smoked sausage. and then we'll let that cool down and add a little butter to our pot, and then that's going to give us what we can build a roux with. So,
oh, that's the best part. You start with the fat and then you add butter. Oh my goodness.
it's like it's a fancy gravy, and it all starts with a roux. I just like to do little, I don't know, what is that, 1/4-inch thick?
Yeah, kind of hold it up and show them what size we're doing.
About that size,
I'd say
about right in
about
there. You don't want to do them too small, because like I said, this cooks for a long time, and when you go to eating, you want to know, or we prefer to know, what you're eating. You don't want to.
We don't want surprise stew.
You don't want that goulash where you just got a big thing of thrown together meats.
Just, yeah, we want to identify what we're eating. We have been waiting on this gumbo, and we've had a beautiful day. It's been cold here in central Alabama. It's cool today. It's warmed up a lot compared to the last couple of days. My temperature says it's 56 outside. It pushed to get 40 yesterday.
It's Alabama, just wait a day and the weather changes.
Yeah, we had tornadoes the day before. So we get out yesterday morning and we had snow flurries. And today we've got bright sunshine. So, you know, we've got all seasons within just a couple of days.
Perfect weather for a gumbo.
Yes, and nothing better than to warm your belly on a cold day. Oh, I'm looking forward to this. I'm getting hungry just smelling everything he's chopping up and just seeing it all coming together.
Well, it's kind of amazing as you start chopping, all the smells of what you haven't even cooked yet starts coming together.
You can almost taste it before you
can, and then once we start cooking it and we're getting down to the nitty gritty later on, you can be a block away and you can smell it.
We're going to have the neighbors coming in.
We are. Now we're using this plastic cutting board instead of a wooden cutting board for the chicken, just because chicken's chicken and you don't want it getting down, or you can cut it on your board if you're happy with that. We like using this to just easier clean up, and we want to eliminate any kind of, you know, cross contamination, because we're going to cut some more vegetables on that board later on, and we don't want to have to scrub it of it too bad.
Yeah. Now he's trimming the chicken up now.
We got two. It's just really just kind of two large breasts, 3 if they're a little smaller. I like to cut the fat off, this little spiny part on the end of the breast, and even this one right here, if you see it, I'll show you, we're not dripping chicken juice. There's a tough little tendon that runs right through there.
I like to take that out of my chicken when I'm cooking it.
Yeah, you make you a little slice on one side of it and the other side of it, and boom, it comes right out just like that.
Done.
And it's out of there. Now we're not going to chop this chicken up. This is actually going to cook whole, and then we'll slice, we'll really be able to shred it, or you can even chop it. I will say you don't want really small pieces of chicken, because the chicken will cook down more than anything.
So it'll kind of shred apart as
It'll shred apart as you cook. So if you do it too small in the beginning, then you end up with just little strings of chicken in your gumbo.
That don't sound appetizing.
Oh, it's still good, but you know, hey, we want a little pretty presentation too.
Well, I didn't realize we cook the chicken whole. Okay, see, my son's teaching me how to cook. I taught him how to begin, and now he's finishing it up.
There we go.
Teaching me. You can teach an old dog new tricks. He is a wonderful cook. He cooks all the time.
I always say, don't be scared. You can throw it together. If it don't taste good, which we don't want to be throwing away food right now, it's hard enough to get, but hey, if you mess it up, you know what not to do the next time.
That's what I say. If you make, but some of the best dishes come out of mistakes, right?
That's right.
His wife is a wonderful cook as well.
She is the baker in the house. If it comes to baking, that's not my forte, that's hers. Although I will be baking some bread later on, so I will take credit for some baking. But we've got our, about pound and a half of sausage. We've got 2 pretty nice sized chicken breasts. We're gonna leave them whole, get the fat cut off of them. We're gonna sprinkle these with salt and pepper, add a little oil to our pot we'll show you here, which is a perfect pot for cooking this. And then we'll start getting our meats cooked, and then we'll start going to the long process of making our roux and then adding all our vegetables back. You ready to do it?
I'm ready.
All right.
All right. Let's
get this chicken off my hands.
He's gonna wash his hands, and we're gonna get you moved and set up by the stove. So we'll be back in just a minute. Okay, stay with us.
All right. Now we're ready to start getting our meats prepared. So we're gonna do our smoked sausage first. We got a pound and a half, just sliced up. I'm gonna add. An important part, we're using a enameled cast iron bowl or casserole, whatever you want to call it. It does really well because it holds the heat, but it's enameled so it doesn't stick as bad as just regular cast iron. I add about a quarter of a cup of oil to the pan, probably not that much. I just like to coat the bottom because we don't want it too oily. We can add a little oil and a little butter as we're going to go anyway.
So you're gonna get some oil out of that sausage.
Yeah, because you're gonna get some oil out of the sausage, and then that's gonna give us a good mix to cook the chicken in. It's really gonna flavor it up.
Now, if you don't have one of these pots, could you use a different kind?
Oh, you could use a
any kind of Dutch oven.
Your non-stick Teflon big pot. You just want a pretty big pot because we're gonna add a lot to this. Because we're gonna add this or vegetables, about 4 cups of water. So you want a pretty big pot. You want everything to have room to move around. You don't want it all stacked up to the top. You want to be able to stir it and let it simmer and do its thing.
Kind of give it room, because if you don't, you're just going to have steam.
That's right.
Steamed meat. We don't like steamed meat.
Yeah.
Get some color on it and make it delicious.
You'll see a lot of people, especially, of course, Justin Wilson. I don't know if he had one of these, but he would cook it in a stainless steel or aluminum pot. They work great, but you better be watching what you're doing because you can burn stuff really quick. We'll just add our sausage here to oil as it warms up. You can wait till it starts to sizzle. It's gonna be all right. It's not gonna soak up the oil like something else would.
Oh, it's starting.
You start hearing that sizzle.
That's a good sound when you're cooking like this, is hearing that sizzle.
And you don't have to sit here and just, you want to let it sit, cook a little bit because you want those little pieces to brown. So you don't have to stir constantly. Just watch it. Don't let one side burn. Let them sit there for a little bit though and pick up that heat and start to get some little brown crusties on there. That's when it starts getting good. Now we're starting to get a good sizzle on it. We're going to let it sit, just kind of do its thing. There's one meat we're leaving out of this today, if you want to call it a meat. We're leaving out shrimp. You can add shrimp at the very end. It cooks really fast. I'll tell you how to do it at the end if I remember. But we've got a couple folks around here that can't eat shellfish, and it makes everybody's else lives miserable because we don't have shellfish. No, I'm kidding. But you don't want to. You want to make sure of that if you got a big party coming over. Hey, this is party gumbo, so Daytona's tomorrow. If you're having everybody over, you're going to cook this gumbo. You want to make sure nobody's got a shellfish allergy because that could really ruin the party. So remember that.
Yeah, that would be a good thing to serve. And like we were talking about earlier, he said you make it ahead of time, and it's even better the next day, which is hard for me to believe, but
it is not better the next day with the shrimp in there because it can get really tough really easy.
Yeah, the shrimp would get rubbery if you're trying to heat it up, because actually shrimp, it'll cook in like 3 or 4 minutes. Once it starts turning pink, it's done. And you cook it past that, and it's going to be like an eraser, and you don't want that.
You would really add that at the very end because it only cooks for a few minutes because your pot's going to be boiling. So if you're going to save some and you want to do the shrimp, go ahead and take your portion out that you're going to freeze or save, and take that out and set it aside before you add your shrimp to your main dish, your main casserole. And then you've got some that you don't have to worry about that shrimp reheating.
But I guess if you had somebody there like we have that is allergic to shrimp, you could do and take a portion out for them.
You could do that
and
too.
then add the shrimp, so everybody's happy and got what they want. We just opted not to do the shrimp today.
I actually prefer. I've had it both ways, and I love shrimp. But in this particular gumbo, I believe it's better without the shrimp. I like to keep it to the sausage and the chicken, and because to me the shrimp is good, but it doesn't add any layer of flavor to it.
It's just an extra.
It's basically when
protein.
The little time you take at the end to put it in there is basically some boiled shrimp.
Yeah.
So it's there. It's pretty, but
it's not really in there long enough to absorb all the flavors of this
right.
dish.
I mean, and shrimp would be traditional on a seafood gumbo. You can do this. You can do this with just chicken. You can do it with just sausage. Generally chicken and sausage, and then if you want to add the shrimp. We're still browning up our sausage here, just letting it go on low. We're using gas heat here, so we don't want to get too crazy with it. And this pot will absorb a lot of heat, so you want to kind of keep it going low and slow. Because once we take the sausage up, we're going to salt and pepper our chicken, and we're going to use the fat we rendered down here for it. So you don't want it just smoking hot by the time you get to your chicken, because once you put your chicken in, you're doing this whole breast. You don't want the outside done and the inside raw.
So we're basically just going to brown the chicken. We're not going to go for a thorough cook.
Well, we're going to brown it, but by the time we get through browning it, and it's going to be a little smoky, so if you've got an exhaust fan, you might want to use it. We're not going to use one today because you won't be able to hear us. If you've got a window you can open, you might want to crack that. You might even want to take the battery out of the smoke detector. Just because it's the pepper and the salt and the oils we're using right here is just gonna get that chicken a little smoky. But hey, that means you're cooking.
That's right.
It's smelling good, Mom.
It is.
This is usually the part when this sausage starts getting done that you have to keep the kids and Pop out of the kitchen, because next thing you know, they're running in here sticking toothpicks in the sausage, and by the time you're almost done, it's like, where's my sausage at? Because you tend to want to nibble as you go.
Yeah, Papa was doing that the other night. I had some vegetables prepped to put them on the griddle on the Blackstone, and it was just raw squash with oil, olive oil, and salt and pepper, and he was eating it.
See how we're getting a little char there on it? That's what you're looking for. That's going to be perfect.
Yeah, we had my grandsons, his son, and our other son's son here. They would be in this pot of sausage, or they'd be standing here with little puppy dog eyes waiting, wanting a bite. Especially Dawson, I think he'd be right over it.
Oh yeah, he usually is. He
His
calls it food abuse because he has to sit there and smell it all day, waiting to eat it. So, which makes it that much better when it's time to eat.
And he's about this big around, and he eats like a horse.
Today we've kicked everybody out of the house, so it's just me and Mom. We can control the situation here, and
But how'd you lock the front door so the neighbors won't come in after they start smelling it?
they will. I'm starting to stir a little more here toward the end because it's starting to brown up. So
Ooh, that's looking so good, y'all.
you don't want half of it dark and half of it not cooked. And hey, you don't have to cook this down to oblivion. It's going to cook in our stock with our vegetables and all for a couple of hours at least. So even the chicken, we're going to cook it through, but it doesn't have to be to temperature 100%. When you take it off, it's going to come up in temperature anyway. But you're gonna add it back to it and let it cook anyway. So
We're just trying to get a good color on it right now.
bring the flavor out. Like I said, this oil and these little vittles down in the bottom, that is gonna help you create that roux here just a little bit.
If y'all could just smell this right now, oh my goodness, we need smell-o-vision.
Do I smell a vision?
No. So we getting about ready for that chicken?
I'll grab some chicken here in a minute.
This is looking so pretty, y'all.
I'm gonna go ahead and cut this heat off while we take this sausage up because we don't want the oil to get too hot while we get our chicken ready. I'm gonna use a slotted spoon because we want to leave as much of that fat in there as we want. You don't have to drain this necessarily. That's just gonna help flavor.
And that's where all your goodness is.
That's right.
Using
Using a slotted spoon, you're leaving most of the oil in the bottom of the pan, which is what you want because that's what's gonna help us cook our chicken and our roux here just a little bit.
You can see down in this pot, he's got all those little bits in the bottom of the pan, but when he starts adding all his liquids, that's just gonna come right up and become a part of the gumbo. So,
About what that pot looks like on the inside. See that? And all those down on the inside? That is what you want.
alright, you ready for your
I'll
chicken?
grab that chicken and we'll.
Alright, so he's got two nice chicken breasts here that he trimmed up. Showed you how he trimmed it. So,
Go
do you
right
want
here.
it right here?
Yeah, let's go right here. That's fine.
So,
Alright.
you get that all seasoned up. And
This is raw chicken, so you can remember to be safe. Remember you can wear latex gloves. I do that a lot of time when cooking chicken. That's just easier, but latex gloves are so expensive nowadays. We're just going to do turn that over to help. Each side, we're going to put some coarse ground black pepper.
so you're generously peppering it.
A good bit on it, because this is going to create your good crust on the outside of this chicken, which is even more of those little bits of goodies that are on the inside, or in your pot to
That's just
flavor
going to
everything.
cook on through the gumbo.
Got one side done. We're going to use some kosher salt. Yes, I am going to salt this pretty heavily, but this also helps you create that crust on the chicken that is helping to create flavor.
And by the time he's done making all of this, it won't be that much.
Because we're not going to add a lot of salt to this if we add any at all once we start cooking. Because we got so many different flavors going on here that already contain some salt, like our smoked sausage, and we're going to be adding butter to this. So it wouldn't be cooking unless we had butter.
I know it. Butter makes everything better. Y'all heard me say that a bunch of times. Got to have the butter.
I would use a coarse ground pepper on this because if you use the fine table pepper, like you see a lot, it will burn very easily. And
Pepper
then,
dust, I call it.
Yep, pepper dust will burn, and then you'll have nothing but you'll have blackened chicken with raw insides. So we're going to turn this pot back on. We've left our oil in here after we've cooked our smoked sausage. It's still got good heat in it. We're going to just put these in here, start. I like the inside to go down first. So we're just letting this chicken sit here and saute. We're keeping our heat on low. You just have to know your pot, know your stove. This is my first time cooking this on this gas stove, so I'm going a little lower than normal. A lower is better. If you can cook it low and slow, you won't have as much smoke, and your chicken will get done more thoroughly.
But you can hear that sizzle.
Here's sizzling.
That's the sound of.
Don't move it around too much. I put that in there. We're gonna let it just sit.
Put it in and back away.
Back away, let it go. We'll just let it go slow. We're cooking this whole. When we take it out, we're just gonna set it aside and let it rest. Because we'll add this after we've added all our vegetables and all of this and the sausage back at the same time. And we can either chop it, pull it apart. We'll decide when we get there, whatever makes it happy.
What mood we're in. Okay, so let's take a break right here. And
let this cook for a little bit, and we'll come back and see what it looks like in a minute.
Yeah, we'll come back in a minute, and we'll get some more stuff set up for him, and so he can just keep going. All right, stay with us.
Ooh, yes, it's smelling good. All right, we're about to turn this chicken over. We've been keeping on this one side this whole time, so it's been probably 6-8 minutes. And I want you to see what it's turning out to be.
Oh my
goodness.
goodness.
It nice and brown. We're going to turn that over and lay it right back down. Get this other one here. All those good little crunchies going on.
Look down in that pot.
So we're talking about the chicken, how it's starting to cook through. So easy was that pig flipper just to flip that right over.
And it doesn't tear up the meat and
holds all the juices on the inside.
Yeah.
And you're not scraping all those goodies off that side.
Yeah.
So we're gonna let this cook on this side, and then we'll come back. We'll take it up, and we'll be on to the next.
Stay with us. All right.
Well, this chicken's looking good now, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off so this doesn't get too hot before we get ready to do a roux.
We'll hold it up for you to see it.
Get this plate here so we don't get these little goodies. That's what you want right there. See how brown that chicken is. Pretty much cooked through. We're going to take those and we're just going to set them aside.
And the
Let
bottom
them
of this
rest.
pot is looking better and better, y'all.
It
My
is.
granny would say gooder and gooder.
Let's do this. I'm going to burn ourselves. I'm going to show you
Be
this.
careful.
This pan. We can get in there and see. That's nothing but flavor down in there.
More and more layers of deliciousness.
All right. You ready to start this roux?
I'm ready. You tell me what you need me to do, or just
We're going.
I'll stay out of your way.
We've got our oil that we've left from cooking our sausage, cooking our chicken.
So you got about how much oil in there? 3-4 tablespoons,
Yeah, that's
maybe.
probably about right. You can add a little if you want to. Now, we're going to just sprinkle this flour. And I've still got the heat off because this is something that's going to be a slow process. So we're going to.
This is the most important part of making the gumbo, is your roux.
So we've got that. We're adding 2 tablespoons of butter.
Add a little more, a little pinch.
What's that?
About that size.
We can always add a little more.
It won't hurt. Now, makes Mama happy.
That's right. And we just want to stir this around. Let this.
I mean, it didn't like. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Let's put this down on low. We want this to be a low and slow process. We're going to get this butter and oil soaked up into this flour. It's just like making gravy. And that's why I use this, knock it off, this flat spoon with a little edge on it, a wooden spoon, or a wooden spatula, I guess. Because you can really get down in there and scrape those little bits off the bottom and just keep it moving.
So you stir this the whole time?
You'll want to, yeah, you don't really want to take your eyes off this, because this right here can go from good to burnt in no time.
So about how dark do you get your roux? Like a copper penny, or do you go farther?
Yeah, about that, because you're right now what we would have,
A new copper penny.
you know, would be a blonde, oh, not quite a blonde roux yet. And you're cooking the bitterness out of the flour also.
Yeah, if you don't cook it long enough, it tastes like flour, and that's not good.
And we're just gonna cook this down. It takes about 10 minutes, so if you're cooking it at a low heat, and till we get just a nice brown roux, kind of copper colored, but the darker you go, the nuttier it tastes.
Yeah.
It'll take on a nuttier flavor the darker it gets. You don't want black roux. You start getting to a dark brown, best thing to do is just take the pot off, set it over on a cold eye. Keep stirring though, because this pot's still gonna be hot and keep holding heat.
Yeah, it does hold in the heat.
So even after we get it to where we want, we're gonna take it off and let it sit, but we're gonna stir it for a few minutes after that.
Because it'll keep cooking from the heat from the pot.
And this is gonna give you the thickness of your gumbo you want. It's not gonna be a thick, like stew. It's gonna be a more brothy, but
Not
this is
quite
gonna,
soup consistency.
it's not quite soup, but not quite stew. That's why they call it gumbo.
That's right.
Oh, it's looking good. And it's just sitting there, little bubbles simmering.
It is. It's just gently
You can start to smell
coming along.
the kind of a little bit of nuttiness
Yeah.
coming out.
I'm gonna try to hold you guys up over here so you can see inside this pan. I'm not the best at doing it this way, so bear with me just a second. Can you see in there?
Yeah. See how it's just simmering away, all these little bubbles. See how the bottom of the pan has started to, all those pieces have come up, still coming up. Take this flat spatula, just keep scraping.
Let's let this simmer for a little bit, and we're going to come back and show you
Yeah, because this is going to take a few minutes.
how
So
it progresses. And when he gets to the point where he's satisfied with it, and we're going to let you see it again. All right, stick with us.
see you soon. All right, we finished our roux. We've let it get to the color we want. So it's just a light brown color. That's about right. We take it off the heat and we let it cool down for maybe 10 minutes. You'll notice it's a little oily. That's the way you want it, because we're about to saute. We're going to saute our onions. Turn this heat on low, and we're going to add 3 tablespoons of butter to this. It may seem like a lot, but it's all going to flavor these onions and these green bell peppers and garlic that we've got.
When you distribute it out amongst all the servings, it's not that much.
This will make about, honestly, normal eating person size, maybe less portions for us because we don't use big bowls, but this is probably 12 or 15 servings at least in this recipe. So we just got the heat back on low, and we're gonna let this butter get started. Then we'll add these onions right here to it.
All right. Oh, isn't that a pretty roux?
We got our 3 tablespoons of butter, melted it back into our roux. Starting to warm back up. We're gonna add this onion to it. Just the onion at this point, because we want to sweat this onion down in this roux. That's why we had a little oily, remember, a little more butter, because we're sauteing these onions in this. And you just want to cook it down on lower heat. You can control it. You do want it to get to simmering.
So you're not going to put any salt or pepper in at this point?
No, we're not going to put any in yet. We'll, I like to wait, not really do any salt and pepper until we really get down to our final hour of cooking.
Right at
Because
the end.
if you put too, you can always add to it, you can't take it out.
Yeah.
Salt and pepper will flavor something quickly. It's not something that has to go for a long time.
Yeah, and you get it too salty, you can't.
Yeah, and individuals can even salt it if they need to. You can kind of see there. We're just getting these onions all coated with this roux. And you'll want to cook these down for about 10 minutes. It's not a science of minutes. That's just approximately.
So you just want to get them translucent.
Yeah, you just want to get them to where they're soft. And we're just going to kind of spread them out in the bottom there. Make sure your pot's on there. And which will, like I said, you don't have to move them around all the time. But your roux can still burn at this point. So you just want to keep an eye on it. It's really not something you can walk away from for more than just a couple of minutes. We're going to cook this down. Like I said, it takes a few minutes. So we'll come back once we get this close before we go to our next step. And we'll get everything ready to add the next step.
Yeah, we'll let you see what it looks like coming up. All right, hang with us.
All right, we've got these onions that have been cooking down in this roux, just simmering on low for about 10 minutes or so. We got them pretty soft. So at this point, we're going to add our bell pepper, green onion,
Bell pepper and garlic.
and our garlic. Just kind of have that in there together. So we're going to add that to it. You can use fresh parsley. We're just going to use a little dried just because the store didn't have fresh parsley. This doesn't add a whole lot of flavor to it. Just a little extra color in there. And then about a quarter cup of Worcestershire sauce. Or Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire. You never know how to say it. Worcestershire.
And then once you add all this together, get it stirred back in. And you're going to simmer this for about another 10 minutes. This is the longest part, is from the beginning. You know, your prep work's not too bad. You can do it anytime. It's that time between the roux and this. After this, it's going to simmer for a good long time, and you're just going to, you can go away for a little bit and come back to it. But, oh yeah, we're looking good now. We'll let this cook down another about 10 minutes, I said, and then we'll go to our next step, where we'll just add some water and some bouillon cubes and let that cook for a while before we add everything back together.
Oh, it smells so good. Oh, that's looking good and smelling good.
Got our onions in here. We got our garlic, green pepper, parsley, all been simmering in this roux we made.
Now he swapped over to a whisk from his spoon.
Got a whisk, because we're about to add the water. We're going to whisk this constantly once we start adding this for a little while. A bigger whisk is better. That way you're not trapping all your onions and bell peppers inside it. You're going to pour these 4 cups of hot water, just hot tap water. It's fine. Just we're going to pour that in. We're going to stir as we add it. And this is where you're really going to pick up the pieces off the bottom of the pan. They'll start to release, get mixed in. They're all nothing but flavor. And you can feel with your whisk the bottom of the pan now is just completely cleaned. Kind of scrape off the sides.
You can even see on the sides where it's released all those bits.
We should get this stirred in good. And we're going to add this chicken to it. I've just cut it up into, or actually pulled it into some bigger pieces. That way it's going to cook down, and you get them too small, you end up with these little slivers of nothing. So I'm just going to stir We've turned the heat up just a little bit because we want to bring this up to a boil.
Well, our hands are impeccably clean. We've washed them so many times. You just don't get to see us do that.
Have we? Does licking your fingers count?
Yeah.
Chicken down.
Ooh,
Sausage
look at
going
these
in.
little sausages. Oh my goodness.
Purpley brown. Somebody's been snacking on it already and said they were good, so not sure who that was, but told you got to watch out for the snackers.
Well, if Dalton and Parker and Pop were here, there wouldn't be any left.
We'd have to start the chicken and sausage process over again.
There would be no sausage left, I can promise you that. Now I'm going to go wash my hands again.
So we got the heat turned up to about a medium low. Really starting to smell like what you think of when you talk about gumbo. Everything's going to come together. And this is going to thicken up as it cooks. We've still got a few things to add to this. I mentioned the bouillon cubes earlier. I was a little ahead of myself there. This is going to cook right here like this for about, yeah, bring that camera over here, Mom. For about 45 minutes. Once we get it up to a boil, and we're going to, see there, we got hostages. We got to let this simmer for about 45 minutes. Then we're going to add about 5 bouillon cubes, and we're going to add some okra to it. We'll show you cutting up some of that okra, how we like to do it.
Of course, that okra helped thicken it up too.
Yeah, the okra, this is real wet right now. It's going to thicken some, but when you add that okra, if you've cut okra before, you know how it can get that little slimy. Well, that's slimy good on this stuff because that's what's going to help thicken it up. We in business now. This is looking good. Bring this to a boil. I'm gonna get all my hostages out of my whisk, and we'll be back in just a little bit. This is the easy part. we get to relax a little bit now, and maybe have a little special drink or something. So.
All right, we'll see you guys in a little while.
Wee. All right, we've been simmering for about 45 minutes or so.
And it's been hard smelling this and not eating it.
Ooh-wee. That's good. It's already thickened up some with everything. Let's see if we can get a little shot of this.
Yeah.
I'll show what we're gonna add.
I'm gonna move y'all now.
So we've got everything in there, peppers or onion or chicken or smoked sausage. And we're gonna add some. This is about a 12-ounce bag of frozen whole okra that we've cut into bite-sized pieces that we like. Put that in, and that's gonna help it thicken up. We got 5 bouillon cubes. That's gonna help with some flavor, just make it even deeper flavor. And it'll help thicken it too. And some diced fire roasted tomatoes. And these will cook down. If you don't like the tomatoes, they're going to add the flavor. You can always pick out the bigger pieces. Get all our hostages out of our whisk. Now we'll continue to simmer this. Now is where you can go get you a drink, kick back for a little bit. This is going to cook for about an hour. So while we're doing this, we're going to check on that lava cake, Mardi Gras cake, and then we're going to make some French bread to go along with this. Looking good. See y'all soon.
All right, we ready. We got our gumbo done. We got the bread out of the oven, and it is so beautiful. Look at that fresh, homemade French bread. He's going to slice that up, and we are going to serve up our gumbo with some rice we made. And we've got our cake sliced, and We're gonna feed this young man here. That's my husband Paul, Chris's father. Oh, and it smells so good. If y'all could just smell in here. I know I've been saying that, but it does. Oh, what a pretty crumb on that bread.
Thank
You need some butter, don't you?
Sure.
Here we go. There's just some butter and a butter knife. And I'm gonna bring the rice over here so we can serve it with the gumbo. Don't touch this. And everything is hot and it come together beautifully. So are you ready to eat?
Mm-hmm.
You should be ready. He's worked all
I
day.
am. Looks
so
good.
there you go. All right, let's get this going. So what we're gonna do, you wanna do this?
Go ahead.
How you do it? Now put my rice in first. Is that what you do? Scoop of rice. And then we're gonna put our gumbo over it. Look at here, y'all. How pretty is that? Now we've got some scallions we're going to put on top, or you can leave them off. There you go.
Thank you.
And we're gonna have us a good meal here. So we're gonna taste this, and then we're gonna sign off and let you good folks go.
Butter slid off my bread.
Sliding off that hot bread, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I wish I was here with us. We'd sure feed you.
Smells good.
I think we've got
That
enough
gumbo
to
turned
feed
out
the
just
neighborhood.
right.
It's steaming,
Isn't it?
steaming hot.
Steaming hot. So let's try this gumbo.
I'm glad you got your own bowl.
Mm-hmm. Don't be sneaking over my bowl.
Like John Wayne would say, this bowl ain't big enough for the both of us.
There ain't no bowl big enough for this gumbo.
All right, let's try this.
Have to let it cool.
It's hot.
It is.
It is hot.
It will burn you.
That's how it's supposed to be. Ooh. And tell us what you.
You got more than I did.
I served myself.
Oh,
Ooh.
it's hot. It's good though.
It will burn the roof of your
It's got
mouth.
a good flavor.
It's has been an all-day process. It takes all day when you go to cook gumbo. It takes a long time to make the perfect roux.
Very good.
Very good.
Good job.
That is so good. So let's have a little bite of bread. I haven't tried the bread.
Y'all did good.
You like that? Come home from work and have this wonderful meal ready for you. Get you a day when you don't have anything to do. Spend it in the kitchen. Cook for your family. If you don't eat it that day, you've got it the next.
Did y'all show them your cake?
Mm-hmm.
Mardi Gras cake?
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait. That bread is fabulous.
It is good.
But I can't wait. I want to try this cake.
I guess that means we need to also.
I'll come back to
I'll get to it.
the gumbo. Look here. See how pretty? There's a layer of pecans, the cake, the cream cheese.
Cake's good. I like this sugar crunch on top of it.
This has been a delicious day. Everything is good. Chris, I thank you Appreciate you for coming and cooking and spending the day with me.
It was fun. And now the best part begins.
That's right. We get to
Yeah.
eat. I'm glad you enjoyed it. You need a good meal after you come home from work.
That's right.
All right.
Do this every weekend.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Come see me. Subscribe. Share my page. I certainly appreciate it. See me next time. Thanks. Bye.